station, and you can watch Good Things. We are on your computer or your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. And today we're saying a welcome back to one of our guests today. We've got writer Eileen Saint Lauren. She was with us back in fall of 2022 with her book Good Life, Mississippi, which is now a finalist in the 14th Annual International Book Awards and has sold in 10 countries. And she's got her new book out, which she's here to share more about. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, Rebecca in South Mississippi. It's so good to be back with you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I'm very surprised myself. I'm very glad, but I'm very surprised. Thank you.
Well, obviously the work spoke for itself, and so that was Good Life, Mississippi. When will you find out? I know you're a finalist in the 14th Annual International Book Awards for 2023. When do those come out? When will you know how the outcome is?
I don't know, but I was invited today, soon. I know soon. I was invited today to submit a screenplay.
Which we told you here on Good Things that I told you it could have been a book, and so you would have to be. So this is your, preliminary announcement that you could have some good news about Good Life, Mississippi in the future.
Yeah, you said, would you promise me you'll come back? And I said, sure. And I have always wanted to do a I actually have a screenplay. I write a screenplay for everything I write, if I can. But I went back and found it in my files. But I'm very happy and excited. And after the end of next month, January of 2024, I'm going to start elevator pitching to producers and TV series people.
Well, we'll keep an opportunity open for you anytime you get that good news. But you've also got another good book out. Is this your second novel, Miss Eileen, or is this just your latest novel?
It's my second novel. It's called Southern Light, Oxford, Mississippi, and it's actually nominated for the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction, and those awards will be given out in May of 2024, which just to have my name there is fine with me. I don't even know. It's just really wonderful to be nominated and humbling and stuff. And it's a good book, I have to say, if I do say so myself. And it's unique because I tend to write about real life people, in my work. And William Faulkner's one of the characters, and it's set in 1961 in December, and it's it's a dark, hilariously sad Christmas story, and it's a wonderful book. I can tell you a little bit about it.
Please do.
Eleanor Franklin is turning 88 on Christmas Day, and party guests include a cat and a tailored Christmas coat named Julius Caesar.
I love that. Each next book, you have to name the cat Porch Cat, because that's Rhino's cat, his dearest friend, his Porch Cat, his great fur baby. So we'll have to give a nod to him if you ever have another one in a story. Okay?
I write about animals. I'll have to get the right spelling of that correct spelling. I can actually do that. My next book, I got so much going on, but another book is all about animals, actually. And so I do have a cat in there and that bunch of dogs in my book in the spring, but I'm holding on to it till I see what happens.
Well, I interrupted you, Miss Eileen, so let's get back to no, I did that. Let's get back to your cute cat in a tuxedo, because that in itself is worth picking up the book for.
Yeah, he's in a tailored coat and Julius Caesar and a ghost from the Civil War, an eccentric caretaker who is a Holocaust survivor, and William Faulkner himself. And they live in Fable Court, which is a fictitious house down the street from William Faulkner's Rowan Oak, his longtime home, which is now located on the University of Mississippi campus. And the story spans, but is not all about. I'm just saying it spans 100 years from 1861 to 1961, but it's not deep, It is deep, but not like, all this stuff is happening. But, it's easy to read. It moves very, very fast. You could read it in 3 hours if you want to. And because I have neighbors that are in their 80s that read it in 3 hours. and that's why I say that. So the house is hidden among typical tree-shaded antebellum homes, Southern homes, of course, and the facade of a small-town peacefulness amid that is tormented souls and a 25-year-old secret to which only one of these troubled characters is privy. So you know how people get together at Christmas and stuff comes out? Either they have knockdown drag-outs or they get along.
Or they get a little liquid courage and they finally start telling the family secrets because one may have passed on, and they start letting out Aunt Betty's, deepest, darkest.
Yeah. And Faulkner gets drunk and decorates the tree. He drinks more than a bottle of scotch, actually, but because he likes scotch a lot, and he talks, and he's so funny. And and so, the unexplainable and the supernatural impact of place, and spirit of the people control the events in this book, so it's supernatural things going on. And it's dark and hilariously sad, as I said earlier, which means you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll laugh, you'll cry. You'll say, give me the Kleenex. It's, oh, my God, that's so funny, kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
And all these haunted characters, the bottom line of this is something, I mentioned Hemingway. He's a little bit in there, too. And because her husband was a professor at the University of Mississippi in his time, and he knew Hemingway when he traveled to Africa. So I mentioned him, but the plot of the story, or the moral, the message is, quote, truth can stand alone in any light, but more so amid the southern light. And I actually wrote that. I believe that because in the South, when I go there and when I've lived there much of my life, there's a certain way that southern light, you can look at it, and when it shines a certain way on anything, you can feel the mystique and the magic and the supernatural of the deep South. At least I can. I can look at that light, the way the sun hits something, and my imagination just starts. And I can just write. And so I believe there's a lot of truth, and it can stand alone in any light, but more so in the South.
I think we would agree with that. Eileen's particularly would say our Delta sunrises and sunsets, our Mississippi Gulf Coast sunrises and sunsets for sure, and everywhere in between. But I think we all have that nook or cranny in our home around that right time of day, somewhere between 3 and 6 o'clock, depending on the time of year where it is. It's like the sun hits just right and sort of beams in on things, and it gives it a different vibe is, a good way to sort of say it. So Southern Light in the title is you're actually talking about sunlight or the southern sort of sun. That sort of plays out in the book.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And the cover is a picture that we took from a window in the house we had in Madison, Mississippi when the sun was going down. And I worked with that and put Mississippi trees with it. Those trees are from Mississippi, and that's the southern light going down. I wanted that like that. And the back, as you can see in the book, where it's orange, sort of peachy, orangey, that's part of that sunset going down, the sun setting in Mississippi. And the name of the book was Southern Light to begin with. It was actually a screenplay to begin with, my first one in college years ago, and I flipped it into this novel myself here after I'd lost my sight and had an accident and stuff, and I regained partial sight now, but not full sight. And so I decided to put Oxford, Mississippi, because it's set in Oxford, and I thought, more people might relate to it. And, my mentors call me the daughter of Faulkner, which I find funny, but I don't really know why. But I just read his novels like in one day and wrote the paper the next and finished the course in the third day instead of 9 weeks. So I got Faulkner, but I said, he was drunk when he wrote this stuff anyway. That's what I told him. And so they coined that phrase for me and said, that I was like Faulkner. So I decided to read about him, and I included him as a character in the book. And it's very believable, and I actually believe it. It's mostly dialogue, and the reason for that is you can hear the voices when you read it in your head.
Well, Miss Eileen, we want to hear more about this conversation, so we're going to press pause, take a break. We got more with Miss Eileen Lauren coming up next. SuperTalk.fm. We're also streaming from the SuperTalk Mississippi app. You can always find us, too, on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And if you're looking for something holiday-ish to read over the long weekend, maybe you got that coming up, then think about our guest, Miss Eileen Saint Lauren's new novel, Southern Light, Oxford, Mississippi, which is set around the holiday time. Miss Eileen, did you know that it would come out around the holidays? Was that intentional for it to be, in time for the holidays, or is that just when you were inspired to write it was around the holiday festivities?
Yes. At first I didn't. I had planned to release the book that's coming out January 2nd, but something felt different on the copyright, so I had to release this one. So it worked out. It's just going to have so many books together, but I went ahead and let it go. It can be read any time of the year, though. It can be. And it's not strictly Merry Christmas story, you know what I mean?
Is it kind of like Die Hard? Is it like not a Christmas movie, but is a Christmas movie, but you can watch it any time in the year?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the first sentence, but that was the last thing that I wrote. I wanted to do something that a lot of people do, and especially as a Southerner, I wanted to write a long sentence.
Well, you wrote one. 357 word opening sentence. But this is the last sentence you wrote, though. So you completed the book, Miss Eileen, and then you came back and opened the book, which I think is really cool. Was that intentional, or did it just come to you after?
It came to me after I had another accident and I lost my left elbow, and I was stuck here for a few years, and I said, I really need to do something to stand out. You know what I mean? And I said, what can I do? I said, well, I've always written long sentences and fought with people about them, so I'm going to sit down and write a long sentence about this book. So only I could have written this, you know what I mean, because it's my book. And so I wrote it, sent it to one of my mentors, and who always gave me a hard time about my 149-word sentences. And I said, don't mess it up. Just put commas and semicolons and leave my dashes. And so she made it perfect, and her husband looked at it too. And so I know it's a perfect sentence. So I'm happy with it. I mean, I couldn't hit Faulkner's 1,500 one, and other people have. I think his was 1,500. And Fitzgerald wrote long sentences, and other people. But I'm proud of 357 words, Yeah. I'm okay with that.
I think you're okay, especially when it makes sense and it sort of flows. You definitely have an affection for William Faulkner. Does it ever feel odd writing about, you oftentimes choose to write about real people, Miss Eileen. Do you ever, does that ever feel odd? Like maybe somebody may read it and, get the wrong sense, or I don't know. Is there any pressure that comes with that, I think is what I'm trying to ask.
I don't think so, because I feel a kinship to these people, and they actually believe it. And I don't really, I don't say anything that's not true. When I actually write about people, I usually say exactly, if I put their own words back in their mouth in a way, you know what I mean? Like one of Faulkner's favorite words was a certain word I'm not going to repeat. But it just works for me. I feel like writing is my calling. It just so happens I was answered it later in life. But everything that I did up until this point has prepared me to go to the next level of wherever I'm going, And sometimes when I get in a big hurry and I think, I want to do this screenplay, I want to have a Netflix, or I see Where the Crawdads Sing, and I say, I can do that. I call my husband. I'm in there screaming at the TV. And I said, I can do that. My book is just as good as that. And he says, well, do it. I said, I'm trying. And when I get in a big hurry, I think, well, I'm just not ready yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not ready. And when I'm ready, then I think it'll work out better for me in all angles, in all areas. And, like a deck of cards, when you fold them and you can shuffle them into place, they just fit together. I'm hoping, that works out for me. And if it doesn't, you know what? I gave it my best shot.
You at least tried. Absolutely. There is no shame in making your pitches and trying. And even if, I think, if you feel like it's your passion, you're calling to write, Miss Eileen, everybody thinks they should have an award-winning book, or it has to be sold in the 10 different countries like Good Life Mississippi was to be considered a success. But if it just brought you joy and it just got something in your head or heart onto paper, even if nobody else ever reads it, that can be success also, because you wrote for a long time, right, before you ever were published or made it your career.
I did. I've written for a long time, but I've also been a reporter, a news writer, a feature writer, a camera operator, and I've done a lot of things in the media. But I want to reach others, and my books have deeper meaning, and I hope that it teaches people how not to treat people. I'm having a affiliation and a connection to the downtrodden and compassion, and I tend to write about those people, and like I write about this Holocaust survivor, and he tells his secret. And I cry when they tell their stories. When I'm writing, and I cry. And someone asked me, why you write a Christmas story? I said, because I'm a writer, and I'm usually by myself at Christmas. And so I tend to write about, all my books are on a holiday. You'll see what I was doing on the 4th of July, or on Christmas, because if it's set during that time, that means I was writing, So I wrote about all these Christmas dinners and stuff, and I put all the food out, and I don't have that,
Well, what did they eat for Christmas? Can you share that?
Huh?
What did they eat in Southern Light, Oxford, Mississippi? What's on the
honey,
Southern
they never
Christmas?
Get to Christmas, I can tell you that.
Oh,
they got it ready, but they never make it. That's where some people call it a Hitchcockian twist, which I think is a good idea. That's probably true. I think that's a compliment. But they don't quite make it to Christmas, but they make it to Christmas Eve. They make it past midnight. But
well, now you got me interested, Miss Eileen, which I think is the whole sort of point of it, too. Are your novels, or do they ever get turned into audiobooks, or are they all just paper hard copy?
I prefer hard because I want it, I just prefer that, so I don't want a paperback. The writing's too small, and a lot of older people can't read it. And since I'm partially visually disadvantaged, I tend to want different print, so I prefer hard copy. And my novels are not that expensive. A lot of, it's, quite frankly, this book's only $19.99, and some people would have charged $35, $40 for it. But I said I just want people to be able to afford it in like a $20 bill for Christmas. I always think, and I always feel really bad that people have to buy. I feel so bad because of that, and because I come from rural Mississippi and we live week to week, but we got by and we were fine. However, I have compassion for people. I know it's hard, and I never ever forget where I came from, no matter what. And I love my people, and people always made fun of me out of Mississippi. And I've lived a lot of places. I've lived in New England and Northampton and everywhere, and they always say, "Oh, don't worry, honey, you'll lose that accent." I said, "I hope not."
Nah.
But I'm proud I'm from Mississippi.
And that's from Petal, Mississippi, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Petal. It was a 2 red light town till it got Walmart and got 3.
I was going to say it's boom. It's a little bigger, a little busier than maybe that now, but it's still charming and quaint there in the Pine Belt for sure. Where can folks get your books, Miss Eileen? Either Good Life Mississippi or Southern Light, Oxford, Mississippi.
They can order it, of course, from Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com or their independent bookstore. It's going to be the same for anybody, whether they order it from independent or not. People think that they're helping a bookstore, but I give them the same discount as I give Amazon and Barnes and Noble, actually. So nobody really, the publisher is the one who gets the most money, quite frankly. So anywhere they want, but Amazon is a good place, and Barnes and Noble is a good place. And the book was a bestseller before it was published, which was phenomenal. I just kept looking and looking from the publisher, and I said, something's wrong.
Nah.
I just couldn't figure it out. It said, we predict your book's going to be a bestseller. And I said, it can't be. It's not, but libraries and bookstores were buying this book before it was actually published, and it hit bestseller in my category, which was fiction, Gothic. And I was just stunned. Absolutely. I was shocked is the word. I mean, I fell out of my chair. And that's just so wonderful.
It is wonderful. You chased a dream, Miss Eileen. You chased that Southern Light right to the top. Now you're going to have to, again, whenever we get the confirmation that there's going to be a movie made out of either one of them, you got to let us know, okay?
Now, it takes a long time. You know that, right? And
well, I ain't going nowhere, so you call
to George Clooney. You know George Clooney. I don't know George Clooney.
I haven't met him, but he has nice hair.
I don't know him, but I know of him. You know, everybody seems to love George Clooney. I mean, he's okay. He's not my type.
Miss Eileen, you keep with us, and you have a Merry Christmas, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got more.